Daf Yomi Tractate Chullin, page 15a, top of the page. I'd like to point out again, as it happens every now and then, and I like to pay attention to these little details that the Gregorian date, which is the 15th of May, matches the Daf Yomi. It's 15 Chullin, matches 15th of May. This happened last year in Tractate Shavuot, at least for a part of the time. I don't remember if it was the Hebrew date or the English date or the Gregorian date, but they matched for some time. Anyway, 15 Chullin, 15th of May. Top of the page. Kol nerois shel mateches metaltalin chutz min hanel shidliku boi b'oisei Shabbos. One may move all metal lamps on Shabbat, even old ones, because they do not become repugnant like earthenware lamps, except for a metal lamp that one kindled on that same Shabbat that was burning when Shabbat began, which is prohibited to move for the entire Shabbat due to the prohibition against extinguishing. And we talked about muksa machmas mius. Something is like, if I'm not mistaken, I do remember learning in Tractate Shabbat that Rabbi Shimon does not hold of muksa machmas mius. He says there's no such thing. And made a connection, interesting connection, that there's a midrash. I don't think it to be taken literally, but after the incident with Dinah happened, and she's obviously not the same person, and there's a midrash that says that Shimon married her. Now, this is not to be taken literally. I don't think so, because a brother's not to marry a sister. But maybe what it meant was that he took care of her. And it's interesting that Shimon is the one who took care of her. Of course, it was his sister. But it could have been any other sibling, right? It could have been Levi, it could have been Reuven. They were all equally related to Dinah, like same father, same mother. So why is it that Shimon took care of Dinah? Because what happened with her, she was defiled in a way. And one could say that there was some element of mius here. But his namesake, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, I think it's Rabbi Shimon, in the Mishnah, he doesn't hold of muksa machmas mius. He doesn't register anything that's mius. He just says it's not mius. Dinah's state of being violated is not mius. So it's interesting that Shimon doesn't hold of machmas mius, and it was Shimon, the brother of Dinah, that took her in, so to speak, took care of her. She wasn't defiled to him. She wasn't in any, not that she would be to the other brothers, but it's interesting that it was Shimon, and Rabbi Shimon doesn't hold of muksa machmas mius. That's a thought. Okay, anyway. The Gemara rejects that analogy, and perhaps it's different there in the case that the burning lamp, as he set it aside by direct action when he kindled the lamp. By contrast, in the case of an animal, he did not set it aside, and therefore perhaps once it is slaughtered, it is permitted. Ella Amar Ravashi Chav Yehuda ben Vashin Tanan Hamivashil b'Shabbos b'Shoigeg Yeochel b'Meizeh lo Yeochel Divrei Rabbi Meir. Rather, Ravashi said, or Rav said, that the halacha that consumption of the animal is prohibited for that day is the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda. Is the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda. The reference is to the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda with regard to one who cooks, as we learned in a Braita with regard to one who cooks on Shabbat. If he did so unwillingly, he may eat what he cooked. If he acted intentionally, he may not eat what he cooked. it's kind of interesting. It's like if he acted intentionally, do you think he'd care whether he eat it or not? But yeah, the difference would be if he acts intentionally and then he does tshuva, then he can't eat that. I think that would be the case. This is the Ramir. Okay, Rabbi Yehuda Omer b'shogi yochel b'mosi Shabbos b'meized lo yochel oilomis. Okay. Rabbi Yehuda says if you cook the food unwittingly, he may eat it at the end of concluding Shabbat. And the sages penalized him, even one more, who sinned unwittingly by prohibiting him from deriving immediate benefit from the dish that he cooked. If he cooked it intentionally, he may never eat from it. Rabbi Yochanan Asan Omer b'shoigeg yochel moisi Shabbos la'acherim v'lo lo b'meizid lo yochel alomis lo la'acherim. Rabbi Yochanan Sandlar says if he acted unwittingly, the food may be eaten at the conclusion of Shabbat by others, but not by him. If he cooked the food intentionally, it may never be eaten. It's interesting that we have Rabbi Yochanan Sandlar, the sandals. Because I was doing a gematria search just recently, maybe yesterday or the day before, and the word knafayim came up, which is knafayim is 210, I think that's what it is, 210, and knafayim has the same numerical value as na'alayim. I'm going to check that right now. We're going to see that right now. Yep, knafayim shaveh na'alayim. You're spelling it like the Hebrew with two yuds. Knafayim shaveh na'alayim. 210. I'm going to put that in the calculator. I'm going to share it with the oilam. Knafayim b'gematria na'alayim. A, it's good because it matches the sound, it rhymes. But B, it's interesting because it makes you think, what do wings have to do with shoes? What's the connection? Yeah? What's the connection between wings and shoes? I was thinking about it, and I also was going, yeah, it is. Knafayim is 210. And na'alayim is 210. Very nice. The connection, they both have to do with transportation. The wings can take a bird, and shoes help the human being transport oneself by walking, lest they hurt their feet. But there was a... Okay, no, never mind that. But Rabbi Yochanan Sandler is the one who makes shoes, sandals, Sandler, I think. And it's interesting because he doesn't come up that often. And the 210 was a numerical value of a certain dollar amount that came up, which also wasn't the usual. So those things combining that I'm sharing that right now are the very special elements of Gematria Ona. Gematria Ona is not just clock time Gematria, it's Gematria in the time of life. It's life presenting equivalencies, synchronizations, and it's very hard to explain how they match up that way. But I think it happens, I'm guessing, it happens to many more people than might meet the eye, but I've taken it upon myself to make a science out of it, a special mathematics, a science out of it, a real discipline. Anyway, Rabbi Yochanan Sandler says, if you act unwittingly, the food may be eaten at the conclusion of Shabbat by others, but not by him. If you cook the food intentionally, it may never be eaten either by him nor by others. According to Rav, The Mishnah is referring to a case where one slaughtered the animal unwittingly. According to Yehuda, slaughter is valid, but it is prohibited to eat the animal on Shabbat. The Gemara challenges this, and let's interpret the Mishnah as referring to a case where he slaughtered the animal intentionally, and explain that it is in accordance with the opinion of Meir, who rules that eating the animal in such a case is permitted only after the conclusion of Shabbat. The Gemara responds, you should not think this way. Lo yisol kedaitach means it should not enter your mind. Diktani numya de Yom Kippurim. Ma Yom Kippurim lo yishno b'shoigig lo yishno b'mezid lo yochel avon chanami lo yishno b'shoigig lo yishno b'mezid lo yochel. The Gemara responds as the case of slaughter on Shabbat is juxtaposed to and taught in a manner similar to the case of slaughter on Yom Kippur. Just as with regard with slaughter on Kippur, it is no different whether one slaughtered unwittingly, and it is no different whether he slaughtered intentionally. He may not eat it that day to the fast. So to here, with regard to slaughter on Shabbat, it is no different whether he slaughtered it unwittingly, and no different whether he slaughtered intentionally. He may not eat it that day. Rabbi Meir, though, deems it permitted for one who cooked unwittingly to eat the cooked food on Shabbat. Umi matzis mukmaz lah b'shoigek v'Rabbi Yehuda ha'af al pi shebitchayev b'nafsho retani. Excuse me. Yahakam af al pi d'v'meizin mitchayev b'nafsho hu ha'chal b'shoigek shitaso k'sheiro. The Gemara asks, and can you interpret the Mishnah as referring to a case of unwitting slaughter? And then according to the opinion of Yehuda, but isn't it taught in the Mishnah, although he is liable to receive the death penalty, one is liable to be executed only if he intentionally performs labor on Shabbat, and he's warned, etc. The Gemara answers that this is what the Mishnah is saying. Although if he slaughtered it intentionally, he is liable to receive the death penalty here in a case where he slaughtered the animal unwittingly, his slaughter is valid. V'nokma keRabbi Yochanan HaSandlar, the Omar lo yishna b'shoigik, v'lo yishna b'meizid, lo achil Rabbi Yochanan HaSandlar kamav nigum v'zi Shabbos, l'chein v'lo lo. Tani digdan shchitaso k'sheiro, kitani lo yishna lo, v'lo yishna l'achiri. The Gemara challenges and let us interpret the Mishnah in accordance with the opinion of Rabbi Yochanan HaSandlar, who says it is no different whether he cooked unwittingly, and it is no different whether he cooked it intentionally. He may not eat it on Shabbat. The Gemara explains Rabbi Yochanan HaSandlar draws a distinction with regard to the conclusion of Shabbat, in that he permits eating food cooked on Shabbat for others and not for him, while the Tana of our Mishnah teaches his slaughter is valid without qualification, indicating that with regard to his ruling, it is no different for him and it is no different for others. Tani Tane Kame de Rav Mivashem Shabbos Meshoigek Yeochel b'mezid lo yeochel umishatek le'Rav. The Tana taught a Braita before Rav. One who cooks on Shabbat unwittingly may eat the food that he cooked. If he did so intentionally, he may not eat the food that he cooked, and Rav silenced him. My time mishatek le, ilem mishum desfira le, keRabbi Yehuda, betana tani keRabbi Meir mishum desfira le keRabbi Yehuda, man tani keRabbi Meir mishatek le. The Gemara asks, what is the reason that Rav silenced him? If we say it is because Rav holds in accordance with the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda, and the Tana taught the Braita in accordance with the opinion of Rabbi Meir, can it be that merely because he holds in accordance with the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda, he silences one who teaches a Braita in accordance with the opinion of Rabbi Meir? Ve'od mi savrle k'Rabbi Yehuda pi amar Rab Chanan bar Ami mi morei lahu Rav letalmideh morei lahu k'Rabbi Meir v'chi darash b'pirka darash k'Rabbi Yehuda mishum amei ha'oretz. And furthermore, does Rav hold in accordance with the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda, but doesn't Rav Chanan bar Ami say when Rav issues a ruling to his students, he issues a ruling in accordance with the opinion of Rabbi Meir, and when he teaches in his public lecture delivered on the festival, he teaches in accordance with the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda due to his concern that the ignoramuses would treat the prohibition of labor on Shabbat with disdain. Tani kame'atu kulei Alma Titani tziesi Lamoira tziasi. And if you would say that the Tana taught the Braita before Rav during the public lecture, and Rav silenced him so that the ignoramuses would not learn from him, is that to say that everyone attending the public lecture listens to the Tana who is citing the Braita? There's no need to silence the Tana because they listen to the disseminator, Amora, the sage who repeats what he hears from Rav loudly for the benefit of those attending the lecture, and the Amora quoted Rav's ruling in accordance with the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda. Amar Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak Tana shoichet Tana kamei de Rav asher b'Shabbos v'shogeg yochel v'meizid lo yochel v'lei mai daitich k'Rabbi Meir ad kan lo yikash olei Rabbi Meir ela b'bevashel darui lechos aber shoichet ein roi lechos no. Rabbi Nachman bar Yitzchak said the Tana taught the halacha of one who slaughters before Rav, one who slaughters an animal on Shabbat unwittingly may eat from the slaughtered animal if he slaughtered it intentionally. He may not eat from the slaughtered animal. Rav said to the Tana, what do you think? That the halacha is in accordance to the opinion of Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Meir deems eating permitted only in the case of one who cooks unwittingly on Shabbat, as even before he cooks the food, it is fit to be chewed, meaning to be eaten uncooked in a permitted manner, and therefore it was not set aside from use when Shabbat began. But in the case of one who slaughters an animal where the meat was not fit to chew, Rabbi Meir does not permit eating it on Shabbat because it was set aside from use on Shabbat. אסור באכילה יוימה ונאז בין חברי למימה רב יהודה היא הרבי מאיר שרי. The Gemara asks, but isn't the Mishnah addressing the case of one who slaughters an animal? And Rav Huna says that Chia bar Abba taught in the name of Rav, consumption of the animal is prohibited for that day. And the members of the company of sages Philip Seymour Hoffman. Coming to the sages, those in the academy tended to say that this halacha is the opinion of Yehuda, from which it may be inferred that Rabbi Meir permits consumption of the slaughtered animal even on Shabbat, and he is not concerned the animal was set aside from use when the Shabbat began. Ki Shori Ramel, the Gemara answers, when Rabbi Meir permits consumption of the slaughtered animal even on Shabbat, 15b now, turning to the top, Kegoin Shehoy Lo Choyle B'oid Yom. It is in a case where one had a critically ill person in his household while it was still day, before Shabbat, as it is permitted to slaughter the animal for such a person even on Shabbat. Therefore, the unslaughtered animal was not set aside from use. Continue on 15b, next video. Bezrat Hashem.